Your cat is staring at the wall again, completely still, eyes locked on something you cannot see, and you laugh it off, right? Silly cat. But what if that laugh is the most wrong reaction you've ever had? What if your cat is picking up on something real, something your brain literally was not built to detect? Stay with me. This gets unsettling faster than you think. You've lived with your cat for years. You know their routines, their moods, their favorite spots. But there's one thing you've never fully explained. That stare. That frozen, unblinking, deeply focused stare at absolutely nothing. No bug, no shadow, no movement. Just a wall, a corner, the ceiling at 3 a.m., and your cat, completely locked in on something you will never see. Here's the question most cat owners never stop to ask. What if nothing is just what you can see? Because your cat's eyes, ears, and nervous system are not even close to yours. They were built by millions of years of evolution for one single purpose: to detect what hides. And some of what hides in this world was never meant for you to notice. Not once. Not ever. I want you to think back for a second. Has your cat ever stared at a spot in your home and you felt, just for a moment, a little uncomfortable too? Like something quiet in your gut said, "Okay, that's strange." That feeling wasn't nothing either. Your instincts and your cat's senses may be picking up signals from the same place, just through very different equipment. Sit with that thought. Today, we are going through 11 things. 11 real, documented, scientifically explored phenomena that your cat can see or hear, and you simply cannot. Some will change the way you look at your cat forever. A few will change the way you look at your house, and at least one of them will stay with you tonight, in the dark, when the room is quiet, and your cat is already staring. Let's start with something that sounds almost too simple. Light. You assume you and your cat see the same room. Same lamp, same shadows, same walls. But behind your cat's retina is a layer called the tapetum lucidum. It reflects light back through the eye a second time. Your cat sees your living room in a kind of permanent amplified night mode, every single hour of every single day. That means at dusk, when you reach for the light switch, your cat is already in full visual clarity. The transition you feel from light to dark, that brief moment of adjustment, of mild blindness, your cat skips it entirely. They move between day and night like it's the same room with the same key. You've been fumbling for the lock your whole life. They never needed one. But here's where it gets more interesting. It's not only how much light cats can see, it's what kind. Cats perceive ultraviolet light. UV. The spectrum your eyes are physically built to block. Your lens filters it out completely. Your cat's lens does not. Patterns, markings, biological trails, things encoded in UV frequencies, are fully visible to your cat right now. Inside your home, things you have never once seen. Researchers have mapped what exists in UV across ordinary environments. Flowers carry hidden patterns. Animals have markings invisible to human eyes. And inside your home, biological traces, old stains, animal trails, certain residues, are illuminated in UV light. Your cat walks through your house reading a version of it you have never accessed. A complete hidden layer, right there, under your nose, every single day. Before we go deeper, and we are going much deeper, sit with that for just a moment. Your cat has been seeing a different version of your home since the day they arrived. Not a frightening version, not a supernatural one. Just more information, more texture, more world layered onto the same walls you look at every day. And that is only the eyes. We have not even reached the ears yet. The ears. Let's talk about the ears. You've seen your cat's ears rotate, right? Like small satellite dishes scanning the room independently. That is not a quirk. That is precision engineering. Each ear moves up to 180 degrees, completely independent of the other. Your cat can triangulate the exact source of a sound with an accuracy that would make military sonar engineers stop and take notes. It is not adorable. It is extraordinary. Your hearing range tops out around 20,000 hertz. That's already decent. But your cat hears up to 65,000 hertz, maybe beyond. That is deep into ultrasonic territory, the same range bats use to navigate in total darkness. So when your cat's head snaps toward a wall with no warning at all, there is a real possibility they just heard something moving inside it. Something small, something fast, something you will never hear. And it is not just range, it is sensitivity. Cats detect differences in sound as small as 1/10 of a tone. They can hear something and know, with precision, whether it is coming from 1 foot left or 1 foot right, from above or below, close or distant. They build a 3-dimensional sound map of their environment continuously, in real time. Your home is never silent to your cat, not for a single second. Think about what your house actually sounds like right now. You hear the fridge hum, a car passing, maybe wind. But your cat hears the pipes moving inside the walls, the electrical current running through the wiring, the slow creak of wood adjusting to temperature, the breathing of every living thing within range. Your home is a full, detailed symphony to them. You have only ever heard the quietest version of it. Now here is where things start to feel a little stranger. Infrasound. Sound below 20 hertz, completely beneath human conscious detection. Earthquakes generate it. Severe storms produce it before a single cloud is visible. Certain structural shifts in buildings release it slowly. And there is growing evidence that cats are sensitive to these ultra-low frequencies, which would explain something reported across cultures for centuries. Cats behaving strangely before earthquakes, before storms, before events no instrument had detected yet. Documented cases, real, recorded, studied observations of cats becoming agitated, hiding, or fleeing hours before seismic activity. Not minutes, hours. Ancient Egyptians documented it. Japanese coastal communities noted it for generations. Modern seismologists have investigated it. Your cat may be a living early warning system. On your couch, right now, let's bring it back to that stare. That specific, unnerving 3 a.m. stare at the corner of the ceiling. We've covered ultraviolet vision and ultrasonic hearing. Now add this layer. Cats have a secondary scent organ called the Jacobson's organ, sitting in the roof of their mouth. When they do that strange, open-mouthed pause, the flame in response, they are not confused. They are tasting the air for precise chemical information. Pheromones, biological markers left by other animals, chemical trails that carry detailed information about who was present, when, and in what condition. Your cat reads all of that, silently, from across the room. So when they stare at what looks like nothing, they may be processing a chemical signal you cannot smell, from a source you cannot see, carrying information you have no framework to interpret. Calmly, completely, here is something that may reframe your cat's entire personality for you. Cats are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, not by habit, not by accident, because that is precisely when their prey is most vulnerable and most active. Their biological clock is calibrated to transitional moments, when light shifts, when temperature moves, when the world passes between states. Your cat at 4 a.m. is not difficult. They are exact. And in those transitional hours, every sense runs at full capacity simultaneously. UV-sensitive eyes adjusting to shifting light, rotating ears sweeping every frequency, the Jacobson's organ reading changing air currents, everything active at once, processing in parallel. That is the creature staring down your hallway at 3 a.m., not a confused or restless pet. A fully activated sensory system doing precisely what it was always built to do. Let's talk about number 4. Electromagnetic fields. Before you move past this, stay with it for a moment. There is growing scientific evidence that cats may be sensitive to subtle shifts in electromagnetic activity. Their whiskers are deeply rooted, nerve-rich sensory instruments that may function as detectors for changes in static electricity and electromagnetic fluctuation in the immediate environment around them. This is not fringe science anymore. You have probably watched your cat act strange before a thunderstorm, hiding under the bed hours before the first cloud appears, pacing, unsettled. What you are witnessing is a creature responding to electromagnetic changes in the atmosphere that your body registers as absolutely nothing. The storm does not exist yet in your world. In your cat's world, it has already arrived. They have been living inside it for hours. Those whiskers deserve their own moment. They span roughly the width of your cat's body, not by coincidence. That measurement tells them whether they can pass through a space without touching the sides. But whiskers also detect micro vibrations in the air. Currents so faint your hand would feel nothing. Shifts in airflow caused by an object nearby. A subtle movement. A presence. Even in absolute darkness. Especially then. Which means your cat can detect something moving in a completely dark room without seeing it, without hearing it, purely through the displacement of air against their whiskers. Let that settle fully. They navigate a sensory world using tools you simply do not have. Tools that evolution spent an enormous amount of time refining with brutal precision. And we spend most of our time wondering why they knock things off the counter. Number 5. High-frequency electrical hum. Most household electronics emit a high-pitched frequency during normal operation. Televisions, computer monitors, certain LED lighting systems. Older tube screens were particularly notorious for this. Humans over 40 often cannot detect these frequencies. Our high-frequency hearing naturally narrows with age. But your cat hears them clearly and constantly. Every appliance in your home has a distinct voice your cat knows. Research suggests some cats become chronically stressed by persistent high-frequency electronic noise in the home, while their owners never suspect a cause. The cat seems anxious, avoidant, restless without explanation. The owner tries everything. Diet changes, new toys, multiple vet visits. The answer was humming quietly in the corner the entire time. A sound only the cat could hear. Invisible, constant, present every hour of every day. Number 6 brings us somewhere that feels less clinical and more personal. Cats can read micro-expressions on human faces, not the way we do, consciously, socially, but through a combination of visual pattern recognition and scent. They detect the hormonal shifts that accompany emotional states. Cortisol rising when you are stressed. Adrenaline spiking when you are afraid. Your cat knows how you feel before you have said a single word. Think about the times your cat appeared when you were having a hard day. You did not cry. You said nothing. You were just sitting there, very still, trying to hold yourself together quietly. And they showed up anyway, settled beside you without being called. That was not coincidence or magic. That was chemistry. Literally. They detected the shift in your body and responded to it. They were always reading you. Always. And here is what makes that even more remarkable. Cats are not pack animals. They did not evolve to read social cues the way dogs did. They had no biological requirement for it. So the fact that they developed this sensitivity to human emotional states means it happened because of us. Because of thousands of years living alongside people. Your cat learned to read you. Not humans in general. Not strangers. You specifically. So we are halfway through the list, and the picture is becoming undeniable. Your cat is never staring at nothing. Every fixed gaze, every rotating ear, every slow whisker extension is part of a continuous, sophisticated analysis of the world around them. A world that is richer, louder, more layered, and more chemically complex than anything you will ever directly experience. And they have been living inside it, beside you, this whole time. Number 7. This one is going to stay with you. Cats process flickering light that is completely invisible to the human eye. Your visual system handles around 60 frames per second. Cats process significantly higher. Some studies suggest up to 100 frames per second or beyond. What appears to you as a steady, solid light source is actually cycling rapidly, and your cat sees every single flash, every gap, every pulse between them. This means certain lighting in your home, fluorescent bulbs, some LED systems, older television screens, that appears perfectly normal to you is experienced by your cat as a constant strobe. Imagine sitting in a room where every light source pulses visibly and rapidly. You cannot turn it off. You cannot explain it to anyone. Everyone around you sees a calm, ordinary room. That is your cat's daily reality in certain homes. It also means when your cat watches television, they are seeing something fundamentally different from what you see. The motion reads differently. The edges shift differently. The entire image is a different experience. Some cats ignore screens completely, possibly because what they perceive bears no resemblance to anything real. Others become intensely focused. Now you understand why. They are literally watching a different version of what is on that screen. Number 8. Cats have a finely developed ability to detect the specific sounds of their prey, and almost exclusively their prey. The exact frequency of a mouse moving through dry leaves, the ultrasonic communication calls of rodents that exist entirely beyond human hearing. Your cat can be in a deep, relaxed sleep and reach full alert in under a second because something squeaked 2 rooms away at a frequency you will never access. What is remarkable about this is the selectivity. It is not that cats hear everything at high volume. It is that certain sounds cut through everything else like a signal through static. A specific frequency range triggers a hardwired biological response that bypasses sleepiness, bypasses comfort, bypasses everything else entirely. It is not a choice or a mood. It is a switch. And something inside your home just flipped it. Something you cannot hear. Number 9 takes us somewhere slightly different. Cats appear sensitive to subtle changes in air pressure, not just from distant storms. Small, localized pressure shifts too. A door about to open in another room changes the airflow in the hallway outside it. Your cat detects someone approaching before the handle even turns. They feel the change in the air before any sound or visual cue becomes available to them. They always know. This connects to something cat owners in their 40s and 50s describe in a very particular way: the feeling that their cat knows their schedule better than they do themselves, waiting by the door before the car turns onto the street. Researchers studying this found cats can identify the sound signature of their owner's vehicle from remarkable distances, but the air pressure sensitivity adds another layer entirely. They feel your return, physically. Number 10. This one is quieter than the others, but in some ways the most profound. Cats see into a visual spectrum that extends slightly into the blue-violet range, beyond what human eyes comfortably process. Combined with UV sensitivity, the color experience your cat has is genuinely different from yours. Certain surfaces that appear plain or white to you carry visible patterns, textures, and information to your cat at all times. Your white walls are not white to your cat. Your plain bedsheet is not plain. The ceiling you stare at when sleep won't come. Your cat sees something on it that you never will. Not because something is wrong, not because of anything mysterious. Simply because the light bouncing off those surfaces carries information in wavelengths your eyes were never designed to receive. Your cat received that information the day they first walked in. We have one left. Number 11. I saved it for last deliberately because it tends to stay with people the longest. It does not involve a specific measurable organ or a confirmed frequency range. It involves something researchers are still carefully, cautiously trying to name. And it connects directly back to that stare. That particular stare. The exact one that made you search for this video in the first place. There is a documented phenomenon observed, recorded, and studied across multiple countries and multiple decades. Cats behaving in ways that suggest awareness of events and people that have no physical presence in the room. Not the supernatural, not ghosts. Something more subtle and in many ways more interesting than either of those things. A sensitivity that science has not fully named yet because naming it requires understanding it first. Let's approach this carefully because it deserves care. There are documented cases of cats reacting to areas of a home where someone died, not immediately after, but weeks or months later. Avoiding a specific chair, refusing to enter a particular room, staring at a specific corner with that same focused, unblinking attention. The owners report no visible change in the space, no new smell, no new object, just the cat and that stare. Here is what science actually offers as explanation, and it is genuinely fascinating. Human bodies in the process of dying and in the time after release very specific chemical compounds. Some of these compounds linger on fabric, in wood, in the microscopic surface layers of a room, for weeks, for months. Your cat's chemical detection system, vastly beyond your own, may still be reading those traces long after you have noticed nothing at all. There are hospice facilities that have documented cats gravitating toward patients in their final hours with striking, repeated consistency. Not randomly, not occasionally. Consistently enough to become a pattern the staff learned to recognize. One cat in a Rhode Island facility became the subject of a published medical paper after anticipating over 25 deaths. The staff came to understand his presence as a signal. Quiet, gentle, entirely natural. What that cat was likely detecting was a combination of measurable things. Specific metabolic changes that alter body chemistry as the body begins shutting down. Shifts in skin temperature, changes in breath composition, alterations in the subtle electrical activity of a failing system. Nothing detectable by the humans present in that room. Everything detectable by a sensory system built over millions of years for precisely this level of biological precision. And your cat carries that same system, sitting on your couch, sleeping across your feet, moving through your house every single day, reading a version of your home and your life that you have never had access to. The stare is never random. It is always aimed at something real, something measurable, something that exists in a frequency or a chemical signature that sits just outside the edge of everything you can reach. So let's bring all 11 together for a moment. UV light your eyes filter out completely. Ultrasonic frequencies beyond your hearing range. Infrasound rising from the earth itself. Electromagnetic field shifts arriving before a storm. Light sources flickering invisibly around you. The ultrasonic voices of small animals moving inside your walls. Your own emotional chemistry being read through your skin without a single word spoken between you. Air pressure changes before a door opens. A visual spectrum stretching beyond blue-violet. The precise sound signature of prey, hardwired to override every other stimulus in an instant. And chemical traces of biological events that remain long after the moment has passed. 11 layers of reality your cat moves through every single day. 11 things they detect that you cannot. 11 reasons that stare was never once aimed at nothing. And here's what I think matters most about all of this. Your cat is not living in your world with slightly sharper senses. They are living in a fundamentally different world that happens to occupy the same physical space as yours. Two complete realities, overlapping entirely, experienced by two creatures who have chosen each other and can only partially understand what the other one perceives. That is the relationship. That has always been the relationship. You have been sharing your home with a being that experiences reality on levels you cannot access, and they chose to stay. With all of that sensory richness available to them at every moment, with 11 layers of a world you will never fully see, they still decided that the place they want to be is next to you. That is not a small thing. That might be the most quietly remarkable thing in this entire video. But let's stay with the science a little longer, because there is a practical side to all of this that most cat owners never consider. If your cat is processing this much information continuously, UV light, ultrasonic frequencies, electromagnetic fields, chemical traces, air pressure shifts, what does that actually mean for their daily experience inside your home? What does it mean for their stress levels, their behavior, their health over time? It means things you consider completely neutral can register as significant events in your cat's sensory world. A new cleaning product. A flickering bulb you haven't replaced. A piece of furniture moved 2 feet to the left. What feels like an unremarkable Tuesday to you can feel like a substantially reorganized environment to them. Their reaction is not overblown. Their reality just shifted in ways you walked right past without noticing. This is why cats often react to guests before the guests arrive. Why they hide from certain people instantly, with no visible reason. Why they accept some strangers immediately and reject others completely. They are not being moody or antisocial. They are responding to a full chemical and electromagnetic profile of that person that entered the room before the person's body did. First impressions work on an entirely different level for cats. There is a specific behavior worth slowing down for here. The slow blink. You have probably done this with your cat. You look at them, you close your eyes slowly, you open them again. Sometimes they return it. What is actually happening is a deliberate lowering of alertness, a signal that says I am not a threat and I am not threatened. For a creature whose eyes are always scanning, choosing to close them is significant. When your cat slow blinks at you, they are making a conscious choice to briefly reduce their sensory intake in your presence. They are saying, with their entire nervous system, that being near you is safe enough to lower their guard. For an animal running 11 layers of environmental analysis simultaneously, that moment of chosen vulnerability is not a small gesture. It may be the closest thing to I love you that their biology allows. And now think about the purr. You have always known it feels good to have a cat purring against you. Research confirms why. The frequency of a cat's purr, between 25 and 150 hertz, falls within the range shown to promote bone density, tissue healing, and stress reduction in mammals. Your cat purring on your chest is not just comfort. It is measurably, biologically therapeutic, healing frequencies, produced for you, every single time. So the relationship runs both ways, in ways we are only beginning to understand fully. Your cat reads your emotional chemistry and responds to it. You respond to their purr frequency without knowing why it reaches something deep in you. Two completely different sensory systems finding points of genuine connection across a gap neither of you can fully see or name. Less like owner and pet, more like two instruments finding the same note. Here is something worth sitting with if you have ever lost a cat and then watched a new cat behave strangely in the same home. The new cat is reading chemical traces left by the one who came before. Old sleeping spots, favorite corners, the edge of the couch where they used to stretch and settle. To your new cat, the home already has a resident, written invisibly into every surface. Already familiar. Already there. That is not a ghost story. That is biology. But it does explain something that people who have loved and lost a cat know quietly in their bones. That feeling that their cat is somehow still present in certain corners of the house. Your new cat is not imagining anything. They are reading real information left behind. And in some precise, chemical sense, the cat you loved is still there, written into the place they called home. We are getting close to the end of this together. And before we get there, I want to say something I mean genuinely. If you are still here, if you have stayed through all of this, please subscribe to this channel. We explore cats like this every single day. Not tricks, not compilations, the real stuff, the kind that makes you look at your cat and think, I never knew, and then look again, differently, because that is exactly who you are, isn't it? Someone who looks at their cat and feels there is more to understand. Someone who noticed that stare one too many times and simply could not let it go without an answer. That refusal to just laugh it off. That quiet insistence that it meant something, is exactly why you are here. And it is exactly why this community exists. So stay with us. There is always more to discover. There is one more dimension to your cat's perception we have not fully explored. Time. Not philosophically, biologically. Cats experience the passage of time differently than humans do. Their higher frame rate, visual processing, their sensitivity to circadian light shifts, their internal clock calibrated precisely to prey activity cycles, all of it adds up to a creature for whom time moves at a genuinely different pace than it does for you. This is why your cat knows your schedule better than your calendar does. Their internal clock is not simply tracking hours. It is tracking light quality, air temperature shifts, sound patterns, and your personal chemical rhythms throughout the day. They know when you normally wake up not because they learned it consciously, but because your body begins announcing it, through chemistry, roughly 20 minutes before your alarm goes off. They were already waiting. And this connects to something that cat owners in their 40s and 50s describe in a very particular way. The feeling that their cat somehow knew something about them before they had admitted it to themselves. A health change forming quietly. An emotional shift still unnamed. A decision still unspoken. The cat started behaving differently before there were words for what was changing. Because they were reading the chemistry of it before you felt it. There are documented cases of cats detecting certain cancers through scent before any medical diagnosis existed. Not trained detection animals, ordinary house cats, behaving in persistent, unusual ways around a specific part of their owner's body. Repeatedly. Insistently enough that the owner eventually sought medical attention. In some of those cases, finding it early made a significant difference. The cat was reading something real, something that mattered enormously. This is not anecdotal mythology. The human body in early stages of certain diseases produces specific volatile organic compounds that alter scent in measurable, detectable ways. Ways that fall well within the chemical sensitivity range of a cat's olfactory system. Your cat's nose contains roughly 200 million scent receptors. Yours contains around 5 million. They are not smelling the same world you are. They never have been. Not one single day. So when your cat won't leave you alone on a particular day, when they follow you from room to room, when they keep returning a paw to a specific spot on your body, when they watch you with that same focused intensity usually reserved for walls, pay attention. Not with fear. With the same open curiosity you brought to this video, your cat may be detecting something your doctor has not looked for yet. And here's what ties all of this together in a way that matters deeply for anyone who has shared decades of their life with cats. The relationship you have with your cat is not simpler than a human relationship. It is not lesser. It is different in kind, built across a sensory gap, maintained through signals most people never stop to decode, and sustained by a mutual attentiveness that is genuinely rare in any relationship at all. Your cat has been paying close attention to you this entire time. To your chemistry, your rhythms, your emotional weather across seasons and years, the specific sound of your footsteps against every other footstep on Earth. They know you in a way that bypasses language entirely, and you have been paying attention to them too, even before you had words for what you were noticing. That stare, that behavior, that feeling you could never quite explain. The science just gave you the vocabulary for it. But the knowing, that quiet certainty that your cat was never staring at nothing, that was always yours. You felt it long before you could explain it. And that feeling, it turns out, was exactly right. Your cat was never confused, never random. They were reading a world you could not see. And somehow across that gap, you found each other anyway. That part was never an accident. So what do you do with all of this? You cannot suddenly perceive UV light. You cannot grow a tapetum lucidum or add 45,000 hertz to your hearing range. You cannot taste pheromones from across a room or feel electromagnetic shifts arriving before a storm. Those doors are biologically closed to you. But something else opened today. Something that requires no new sense at all. Just a different quality of attention. A quieter way of looking. The next time your cat stares at the corner of the ceiling, you do not need to see what they see. You only need to know that something is there. A frequency, a chemical trace, a light source flickering beyond your range, a shift in the air their body caught before yours had any chance. That stare is not a glitch. It is not anxiety dressed up as stillness. It is a sophisticated organism doing exactly what it was built to do. And the next time your cat follows you into a room for no apparent reason, or places themselves between you and a door, or rests a paw on your chest and simply stays there without moving, Let them. Do not rush it. Do not shift them aside. Because something in their continuous read of the world decided that being close to you was the correct response to whatever they were detecting. They knew. They always know. There is a kind of humility in all of this that people over 40 tend to understand in a particular way. You have lived enough to know that certainty about what you cannot see has cost you before. That the world is larger and stranger than any single perspective can hold. Your cat has been demonstrating that exact lesson every single day, without drama, without needing you to understand. Just quietly, patiently, living proof of it. Every cat you have ever loved was doing this. Every single one. Every stare, every sudden alert, every behavior you filed away as strange or inexplicable had a source. A real, physical, detectable source that simply existed outside your sensory range. They were never broken, never weird, never random. They were complete, fully equipped. Operating at a level of environmental awareness most humans spend their entire lives completely unaware of. And they chose your couch anyway. That keeps coming back, doesn't it? With all of that, with 11 layers of sensory reality running simultaneously, they picked the spot beside you. They memorized your footsteps out of every footstep on Earth. They read your chemistry every single day and kept returning. Not because they had to. Cats are not obligated to anyone. They stayed because something in their read of you said, "This is worth staying for." You gave them safety, warmth, consistency across years. And they gave you something you likely did not realize you were receiving. 11 layers of quiet, constant, devoted attention. A living creature tuned to frequencies you cannot access, using every tool evolution gave them. Focused, at least in part, entirely on you. On your health, your mood, your presence moving through the home. That is not ordinary. That is actually extraordinary. So the next time someone tells you it is just a cat, let them say it. You do not need to argue. You do not need to explain UV vision, or volatile organic compounds or infrasound or any of it. You simply know what you know. You watched that stare for years and always felt it meant something. And it did. Every single time. Without exception. There was never nothing there. There was always a whole world you just could not see. If this video changed the way you see your cat, even slightly, share it with 5 people who love their cats the way you do. Not to show what you learned, but because somewhere out there is a person watching their cat stare at a wall right now, feeling unsettled, needing someone to tell them, that is not nothing. Your cat is not broken. They are reading something real. And now you can be the one who tells them exactly that. Leave a comment below with one moment, just one, when your cat did something you could not explain. Something that made you pause. Something that stayed with you longer than it should have. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, the science, the bond, the things we still do not fully understand, tell me what you want to explore next. I will be here. And so will your cat. Staring at something only they can see.